Hey guys, welcome back. Today we'll be going over Chapter 7 of the Florida Contractors Manual. However, there is a new book, guys, for 2026, and according to the BPR, you can still use the 2021 version, but it's recommended that you get the latest version. However, I will still be going over this book because some of us still have this book and we can still use it. So I'll finish till Chapter 10. And we have occupational safety and health, OSHA. Have that highlighted. I have other than serious violations. We have repeat violations, failure to abate, components of a safety program. These are all content that I have had in the exams as questions. On page 7.6, Occupational Safety and Health Act. The federal government enacted the Occupational Safety and Health Act into law in 1970. Employer responsibilities. The employer is generally responsible in 4 areas. The first area concerns record-keeping requirements. Basically, record-keeping is in 3 parts. Record-keeping. Summary of occupational injuries, illness, OSHA Form 300/300A. This form is used to record all incidents resulting in loss of consciousness, restriction of work or movement, lost work days, or medical treatment. If there is any doubt as to whether or not the injury should be recorded, record the injury, as there is no penalty in doing so. Recordable incidents must be entered within 7 days of learning of its occurrence. All employers over 10 employees must maintain OSHA 300/300A log. Supplementary record of occupational injuries and illness, OSHA number 301. Construction standards. The second area of construction standards, 1926. You can see there, General Duty Clause 55A1. Display. OSHA posters must be posted on all job sites in the area where all employees can see them. On multi-contractor projects, each contractor is responsible for displaying a poster unless a common area is available to all employees of contractors on a daily basis. Moving on to page 7.7, we have coverage of the Occupational Safety and Health Act. This act shall apply with respect to employment performed in the workplace in state, the District of Columbia, the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, American Samoa, Guam, Trust Territory of Pacific Islands, Walk Island, Outer Continental Shelf lands defined in other Continental Shelf Lands Act, Johnson Island, and the Canal Zone. Exempt employers: religious establishments, employers of household workers, individuals who do not have employees. So they do ask a lot of questions about record keeping, so make sure to circle all the numbers listed here, as that's going to help when looking for these answers, and these numbers will pop up when they are circled, guys. Moving on to page 7.9, we have employers regularly exempt from OSHA record keeping. An employer who had no more than 10 employees at any time during the calendar year. OSHA record keeping. We have 3 forms are used for OSHA record keeping. OSHA number 300/300A, OSHA number 301, the log of occupational injuries and illness, OSHA number 300/300A. The log is used for recording and classifying recordable occupational injuries and illnesses, and for noting the extent and outcome of each case. The OSHA 300 log is then summarized on the 300A. Page 710, we have this right here under 1904.30. There is available at the place where the log is maintained sufficient information to complete the log to date within 7 working days after receiving information that a recordable case has occurred. Page 711, we have the supplementary record occupational injuries and illnesses, OSHA 300, number 301. For every injury or illness entered on the log, it is necessary to record additional information on the supplementary record, OSHA 301. In addition to the log of occupational injuries and illnesses provided for under section 1904.29 and B, each employer shall have available for inspection at each establishment within 7 working days after receiving information that a recordable case has occurred. Supplementary record for each occupational injury or illness for the establishment. Location, retention, and maintenance of records. Ordinarily, injury and illness records must be kept for each establishment covered by Occupational Safety and Health Act. OSHA's Form 301, location of records. B, records for employees who report to a fixed location but work elsewhere should be kept at place to which employees report each day. Number 2, employees not associated with fixed establishments. 2A, records may be kept at the field office or mobile base operations. Location exception for the log, OSHA 300/300A. It is possible to prepare and maintain the log at an alternate location or by means of data processing equipment or both. Page 716, we have retention of OSHA records must be retained in each establishment 5 calendar years following the end of the year to which they relate. We have 717, whoever knowingly makes any false statement, representation, or certification in any application, record, report, plan, or other document filed or required to be maintained pursuant to this act shall, upon conviction, be punished by a fine of not more than $10,000 or by imprisonment for not more than 6 months or both. 719, recordable cases. You are required to report information about every occupational death, every non-fatal illness, and those non-fatal occupational injuries which involve one or more of the following: loss of consciousness, restriction of work or motion, transfer to another job, or medical treatment other than first aid. On page 720, we will have distinguishing between injuries and illness. Under the OSHA Act, all work-related illness must be recorded, while only those injuries which require medical treatment other than first aid or involve loss of consciousness, restriction of work or motion, or transfer to another job are recordable. Injuries are caused by instantaneous events in the work environment. Cases resulting from anything other than instantaneous events are considered illnesses. A single incident involving an instantaneous exposure to chemicals is classified as injury. Page 723, we have the Act also specifically states that work-related injuries which involve only first aid treatment must not be recorded. On page 722, guys, we have deciding if work-related injuries are recordable, and you want to highlight and which do not involve medical treatment loss of consciousness, restriction of work or motion, or transfer to another job. Back to page 723. The distinction between medical treatment and first aid depends not only on the treatment provided, but also on the severity of the injury being treated. First aid is administrative tetanus immunizations. It's all of these, but this is the one I got on the exam. 724, we have the following are generally considered medical treatment. Application of sutures or stitches, cutting away dead skin, surgical debridement, treatment of first degree burns. So these are very important to know. Page 725, the following procedure by itself is not considered medical treatment. Administrative tetanus shots or boosters. We have page 76, evaluating the extent of recordable cases, lost work cases. When counting the number of days away from work or days of restricted work activity, do not include the initial date of injury or onset of illness. You must count the number of calendar days the employee was unable to work as a result of the injury or illness, regardless of whether or not the employee was scheduled to work on those days. Weekend days, holidays, vacation days, or other days off are included in the total number of days recorded if the employee would not have been able to work on those days because of the work-related injury or illness. And we have 728, reporting fatalities and multiple hospitalizations. Within 8 hours after learning of the death of an employee from a work-related incident, or within 24 hours of notification of inpatient hospitalization of one or more employees as a result of work-related incident, the employer of any employee so affected shall orally report the fatality or hospitalization by telephone or in person to the area office of Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA. Additionally, within 24 hours of loss of eye or amputation, OSHA must be notified. So this is talking about safety, guys. Under safety, within 8 hours after learning of the death of an employee from work-related incident, or within 24 hours of notification of inpatient hospitalization. Next one is 730. Requirements of the Act. Employers. All employers must furnish to employees employment and place of employment free from recognized hazards that are causing or likely to cause death or serious harm to employees. Employers must comply with occupational safety and health standards issued under the Act. Complaints. Employees or their representatives have the right to file a complaint with the nearest OSHA office requesting an inspection if they believe unsafe or unhealthful conditions exist in the workplace. Page 731. Employees who believe they have been discriminated against may file a complaint with their nearest OSHA office 30 days of this alleged discrimination. We have citations. The OSHA citation must be prominently displayed at or near the place of alleged violation for 3 days or until it is corrected. OSHA civil penalties, we have 134,937 highlighted. Maximum civil penalties, you will most likely have to use this, so make sure you remember where this is under penalties and OSHA. Willful or repeated violations, 134,937. So it's the same as up here. Page 732. We have severity probability. High, greater, 13,494. We have other than serious violations. If the other than serious violation has a greater probability of resulting in injury or illness, then a base penalty of 1,000 will be used, to which appropriate adjustment factors will be applied. Regulatory violations. Here are the basic penalties. Before adjustments to be proposed for posting requirement violations, OSHA notice 13,494 annually summary 13,494 and failure to post citations 13,494. Base reporting and record keeping penalties are as follows. Failure to maintain OSHA 300/300A, OSHA 301 forms 13,494. Willful violations. In the case of willful serious violation, the initial proposed penalty has to be between 9,639 and 134,937. Page 733. We have repeat violations here. A repeat violation is a violation of any standard, regulation, rule, or order where, upon reinspection, a substantially similar violation is found within 5 years of final order. Failure to abate. The failure to abate penalty may be assessed for maximum 30 days by OSHA area office. Adjustment factors. The size of the adjustment factor is as follows. For an employer with only 1 to 25 workers, the penalty will be reduced 50%. 51 to 100 workers, the reduction will be 20%. 101 to 250 workers, a 10% reduction. And more than 250 workers, there will be no reduction in the penalty. There may be up to an additional 25% reduction for evidence that the employer is making a good faith effort to provide good workplace safety and health, and an additional 10% reduction if the employer has not been cited by OSHA for any serious willful repeat violation in the past 5 years. Okay, we have page 737. Safety program goals, safety responsibilities. It's a good idea to go over these. On page 736, components of safety program, policy statement on safety. One person within a company must be responsible and in charge of the safety program. Safety rules, employee orientations. We have safety and health education training. Next page, we have 738. The effects of a good training and education program can be measured in fewer accidents, injuries, illness, citations, and legal actions against the company. Management is responsible for training their employees. Federal Regulations 1926-1910 set the standards for employees' OSHA training. The decision of who and when to train is important to management and should be given careful thought when developing the training program. The training documentation should include a minimum detailed subject overview, the instructor's name, date, time presented, and attendance with signatures of instructor, presenter, and attenders. We have number 7, job site inspections. Daily inspections should be made by supervisors, foremen, and safety personnel. Number 8, investigation of accidents. Page 739, first aid CPR trained personnel. Number 10, protective equipment. Down below, we have 1926.32 definitions. One that I saw in the exam, guys, was competent person. Means one who is capable of identifying existing and predictable hazards in the surrounding or working conditions which are unsanitary, hazardous or dangerous to employees and who has authorization to take prompt corrective measure to eliminate them. Next page, we have nothing there. Page 743, general information. Number 5, protective systems are not required where the excavation is solid rock, nor in excavations that are less than 5 feet in depth and a competent person has determined the conditions are safe. This is also very important, competent person. Next page, we have maximum allowable slopes. We have the soil or rock type, type A, type B, type C, and we have maximum allowable slopes for excavations less than 20 feet deep. If they ask you about type B, it will be a 1-to-1, 45 degrees. Next page, guys. On this section right here, it's about construction rigging and safety. This is almost a separate chapter than safety, but it is also safety, but on rigging. So first thing we want to highlight is on page 750. You want to highlight Manila rope grade, yacht rope, bolt rope, number 1 grade, number 2 grade, number 3 grade, and hardware store rope. These are types of ropes you want to get familiar with because they will ask you about these. On page 751, we have synthetic fiber rope. However, they are not generally used in rigging because of their tendency to stretch considerably under strain and their susceptibility to damage by heat, flame, and sparks. 751, keep going. Nylon is 2.5 times the strength of Manila. Nylon rope. The high degree of stretch, 10 to 40%, is a positive feature in some respects, but can produce problems where headroom is low or lifting is restricted. Nylon will stretch 10 to 40% under working loads and over 40% under a braking load. Down below, they became slippery when wet and lose about 10% of their strength. However, full strength returns when they dry out. Next is 753. We have safety factors for general rigging and hoisting of material. A factor of 5 is acceptable. When the rope is to be used for hoisting or supporting personnel, a safety of 10 must be used. So it changes, guys, from hoisting and rigging material to hoisting or supporting personnel, from 5 to 10. So that's something you want to keep in mind as well for safety factors, as they will ask you a question about that. 755, chart for matching rope to block, size of block, and size of rope diameter. We have 8 inches, 7/8/1, size of rope diameter. They will ask you about this. So make sure you go over this as well and get familiar with it. On page 756, we have safe working load calculations. Nylon rope, 1/2-inch rope equal 4/8 diameter. Safe working load equal 4x4/60 equal 960. So they can ask you from any one of these, but it's a good idea to get familiar with these. On page 757, avoid all but straight line pulls. A knot tied in a rope or a sharp bend will weaken it about 50%. Number 13, synthetic ropes have a low melting point. Keep them away from high temperatures and friction. Let's see what else we got here. On page 769, we have maximum safe working load tons, safety factor equal 5. We have the rope diameter, we have the grade 100, 110 plow, or grade 100, 120 improved plow. And they might ask you for 3/8. Fiber core will be 1. Steel core will be 1.08. So it's a good idea to get familiar with this as well, guys, because you'll most likely get a question about this. I have also seen on page 71 zinc or spelter sockets. These standards drop force attachments are 100% efficient. 772 cable clips. The most common method used to make an eye or attach a wire rope to a piece of equipment is to use cable or crossbeam clips. 775 sheaves. You will see on your exam for sure, and you want to highlight on page 76. Bending wire reduces its strength. To account for the effective bend radius on wire rope strength when selecting a sheave, use the table below. So they might ask you for ratio A. If it's 15, the strength efficiency compared to catalog strength in percent is 89%. Up here we have ratio A, sheave diameter divided by rope diameter. 779, we have shackles with crowns or pins worn more than 10% should be replaced and destroyed. On the right hand side of the page, tapped holes for screwed in eye bolts should have a minimum depth of 1 1/2 times the bolt diameter. On page 780, we have blocks. They will ask questions about blocks, and that will be loads and blocks. The angle factor right here, to determine total load on toggle block B. So this is a formula that they will ask you about. B equals 1000 times 0.76. 1000 is the line pull, 0.76 is the factor of 135, angle equal 776. And right here they give you the angle and the factor number. Page 786, we have braided sling. Braided slings not shown are produced by braiding 6 or 8 small diameter ropes together. They are especially suited for basket hitches where sharp corners are encountered. Page 787, conditions at the following should be a sufficient reason for consideration of sling replacement. Number 8, hooks that have been opened more than 15% of the normal throat opening measured at the narrowest point, or twisted more than 10% from the plane of the unbent hook. 789, we have inspection. All chains should be thoroughly inspected once a month by a competent inspector. Page 790, if all possible, keep sling angles greater than 45 degrees. So they will ask about sling angles. Page 791, sling angle, load angle factor. Right here you have 45 degrees and load angle factor of 0.707. Signaling safety. You must be aware of the following each time you act as a signaler. Only one person must do the signaling. Number 2, stand so that you can see the load and the operator can see you. Be constantly aware of overhead lines. And number 4, never swing a load over the other workers. On page 792, we have boom down and lower the boom and raise the boom. So these are all signals. But one you will most likely see is signaling safety right here. They will ask you about one of these. So that's it for chapter 7, guys. On the next chapter, we will be going over chapter 8, construction contracts and liability. But as I said in the beginning, there is a new book. you can still use this according to DBPR on the current exams until further notice, and this will help you pass the test as well. So thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you guys need me to highlight the other books, please comment and do so. And thank you, and see you on the next one.